black folks who really don't think that it doesn't really matter history. They talk about just dealing with spirituality, and you don't have to really deal with any history. That's a folly point as well. You understand? Because if you need to what is your story, or what is the story of those who preceded, came before you? If you don't understand what their story is, then you're dealing with a mystery or confusion or chaos. You need to understand history is very important. And yes, history is important with spirituality. You know what I'm saying? History is very important. I know what Brother Walter Williams said, and we're going to address that too, because this kind of dovetails into the other comment by Fat Stacks, as well as it connects with Full-Time Dabbler. You understand, who made some channel comments as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to pause for a cause. Well, actually, we're into the second part. We can continue. Okay, we got in queue that we're into the second part now. So it's not the Arabic language. The point that we like to make right here, it's not the Arabic language that has kept Hamites down. It's not. It is the Bedouin, the Kafiruna, or the concealers of what they know to be true, that has kept the original Arabs, who are black peoples. In other words, the original Arabs, the Cushites, what we know as the Cushites, inhabited not just what we term today as Africa, you understand, but they also inhabit what we term today as Arabia, or before Saudi Arabia was named Saudi Arabia, Cushites, or blacks, who later began to be known as Habashas and Abyssinians and so forth and so on, based on what the Bedouin and the pale and the red Arabs, the Arabs. So a lot of what has gone on with these words like abd, or slave, servant, from that we get the Abdullah, in the word servant or slave of God. The pale red Arabs, they consider themselves to be Abdullah, but the blacks that they conquered, pushing them out, like the family of the Mahdi and like the Sudanese Muslims and other Muslims, even some of the Horn of Africa Muslims, were pushed out and persecuted by the Bedouins, or the pale red Arabs, who the Quran actually identifies them. So if we were to study, see, that's why study is very important, to really get the real 411 about these matters. You understand? To really get the 411 about these matters. So what Bingy Prince 81 has said, I think, is very accurate, generally speaking. But now to get some of, they say the devil's in the details. So it's not the Arabic language that has kept Hamites down, because some of the original inhabitants of what they call Arabia were Hamite tribes, or Kemetan tribes actually inhabited Arabia and spoke the prototypical so-called Arabic language, you understand, which really comes from the ancient Agazi, or the Goods, not the other way around, like they like to be deceiving you with that. But the point about Abd, mean worship, is like the word in the Obed, you know, in the Bible, like Obadiah, the word Obed, Obadiah, Abdiyah, Obadiah. That basically means, and according to the Hebrew that has come down to, the servant of Yahweh. So that word is a cognate in the Hebrew, so forth and so on. You understand, to mean servant or slave. Now the negative connotation of Abd, you understand, meaning black and slave black, that the red and the pale Arabs have used against the original inhabitants and the black Arabs, you understand, who were pushed out, like the Sudanese Muslim and the Sudanese Arabs, because they consider themselves Arabs more than African. Now people say, oh, they're ashamed to be African. You have to understand their history. You see, when you understand their history, that they can trace generations and generations all the way back to the Prophet Muhammad, and even before, to that region of the world, and that black tribes or Hamites had occupied and Cushites had occupied Arabia, shows that the same thing that's happened to black people, you understand, the black race in other ways concerning Judaism, the original Judaic people, the BC Yehuda people, because we know that Judaism, as they call it today, is not a BC religion, it's an AD religion, the Judaism that they practice today. When you now concern yourself with the Limba or the Falasha, the Beta Israel, there you're talking about the BC faith of the Judahites and the Beta Israel, but that's a total different matter. So we shouldn't really confuse apples and oranges, even though they're all fruit. But what kind of fruit are we speaking about? Are we speaking about good fruit, or are we speaking about bad fruit? So the Arabic language that the Quran uses, as every Arabic linguist, anybody who understands the language would know, that no country, not even Saudi Arabia, as its language speaks the ancient and archaic form of Arabic that is used in the Quran. The Quran has words that are not used or known even in modern Arabic. So modern Arabic is different. The modern Arabic that comes down to us by the Bedouin and the pale red Arabs is different than the Quranic Arabic of the Quran. You understand? And this is one thing that a lot of us, like I said, they don't know that. You understand? So from the Quran perspective, you understand, this racism and this bias and bigotry is more a cultural thing based on the different types of Arabs. So you have your pale Arabs, you understand? You have your red Arabs, and you have your black Arabs. So you have your white Arabs, you have your red Arabs, you understand? And then you have your black Arabs. It's the black Arabs that were persecuted by the Bedouin, you understand, or the pale red Arabs, because as this whole world system was favoring the so-called whitewashed people, you understand, those people who took over the religion of al-Islam, you understand, they worked together to exploit and enslave black peoples. So I just wanted to clarify that it's not the language that is keeping Hamites or blacks down. It is the ignorance. It is the ignorance about what the language, about these languages. It's us lacking the discipline of really knowing these languages and learning. See, you could tell when black people are going to change their situation. I'm talking about the black people over here in the West, when they start learning their language. When they get into the discipline of learning language, when they stop saying to themselves, oh, they can't learn it, or oh, it's too difficult or impossible. As long as they say that, that means that they're not working with their true indigenous spirit. As long as we think that learning our language, whether it's Amharic, you understand, whether it's the Good when we start to think it's too difficult, that means we're not in our right spirit. You understand? That we're not worshiping our God. You understand? We are still under the gods of the oppressor. So it's not the Arabic language that has kept Hamites or black folks down. You understand? It is the ignorance and the covering up of the true story, and the ignorance, because many of those people over there, the Sudanese, know this to be true. You understand? Because they know what their family lines and lineages are. Even Dr. York, you understand, in his better days, you understand, what we regard as his better days, because followers, you know, that's his followers, you know, there's a whole total different perspectives. But even in Dr. York had broke that down to us as well. You understand? Dr. York basically showed us that the real family of the Prophet Muhammad, those black people over there, though they may be black people and considered African, they are really true Arabs. And they know their blood lineages and links. They have not been watered down. But if you look at many of those people in that region, you can tell that there's a lot of that the white, the lighter and the whiter and the redder Bedouin are ruling, and that the black people have been suppressed. You understand? Have been enslaved in a religion. And this kind of now dovetails to the fat stacks point. And I think fat stacks point is very, very important. And then we still want to deal with dabblers, full-time dabblers point, because we don't want ones to think that we're unwilling, you understand, to address it. Just that with, you know, the wealth of of information, and the process. It's the process, you know. The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few.